All right, guys. Hey, good evening. I'm going to wait for a few of you to kind of hop on here with me. We're going to discuss some stuff that, just broke the news today. I was sitting around this afternoon when I got done with work, and I'm hanging out with my family. I thought, I'll just kind of peruse and see what's going on in the headlines, what's happening around the globe, what's happening in the news. And this thing caught my attention. I heard someone mention it, and a fact came out. So I went looking. I started hunting for these facts. And the fact that came out was coming out of New York. And I thought, okay, this is game-changing. We're watching our nation right now, locking things down, doing things different. But this new data, this new information that comes out, and it's here on the spur of the moment, game-changing. Game-changing. So where did it start out with? It came out of New York City today. Governor Cuomo in New York was being asked some questions. Said, hey, Governor, what do you think about the statistics now? We're tracking this thing. They went through and they looked at 113 or 14 different hospitals around the New York area. And they gathered data on these hospitals. And they were looking to see who's coming into their hospital. This is the key. Who was being admitted to their hospital for COVID-19? Who was coming in? What they found is unbelievable. Unbelievable. 66% of the people being admitted into the hospital, 2/3 of the people coming into that hospital never left their home. They weren't out socializing. They weren't out gathering in groups. They weren't out working in taxi cabs and Ubers and things like that. They didn't leave their home. They were following social distancing. They were following their masks and all these little things and washing their hands and being careful. They stayed in their home. Now, why is this a big deal? They're doing everything they were told to do, and yet 66% of the hospitalizations in the state of New York are coming from people who are staying home. So we look at this and we think, okay, wow, this is different now, right? This kind of changes everything a little bit, because we were told, oh my God, don't go out, don't go grocery shopping, don't go here, don't go there, because if you do that, oh, this thing's going to spread like wildfire. But now we're realizing, wait a minute, that was a misnomer. That's not true. And we're learning all of a sudden, by the one state we can clearly look at that has more death, more cases, has done more testing than all the other states combined. This is it. New York is the granddaddy of this in the United States. So when we look at their data, man, it sticks out. And we start thinking to ourselves, okay, what else is going on here? We've got our stay-at-home rule, right? That order that's been put in pretty much nationwide with the exception of a few states. I'm in Illinois, and we've really just tightened down the screws here. Our government came up with a 5-step phase plan for how, we're going to have to get through this. And yet the data isn't supporting it. And now you've got the governor of New York, politics aside, is saying, look, I'm shocked that it was this way. I had no idea it would be like this. Now it gets better. They broke it down statistically. 66% stayed at home. 18% were in nursing homes. They came out of nursing homes. 4% more assisted living centers. All right, it's like a nursing home, a little more freedom. And then they have these things called congregate housing, which is like assisted living communities. There's 2 more. So that means 90+% of these people came out of these really 2 groups. And we look at that and we say, so you're telling me 90% of the people that were admitted to the hospital in the state of New York for their COVID disease, this outbreak, never left their house. They followed the rules. They're doing what they're told to do. And we're looking at this and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, we're willing to shut down the entire planet for something that we can't get away from anyway. Now, does that mean we're not going to follow social distance? No, that's common sense. Basic hygiene? No, it's common sense. Maybe being careful. If I'm coughing or hacking, I'll put a mask on. I'll stay away from you. But we already know, we've seen the mask whole fiasco. We know that works pretty much like trying to stop air from coming through it. It doesn't work that well. But here's what's interesting. When we're looking at this virus, guys, it's not that stable. This thing's not that hardy of a virus that hangs in there and really dukes it out with your immune system. Other research that came out of New York City, it blows my mind. Congratulations to the governor for this, right? He said he noted that If you're 45 or younger, your odds of suffering mortality from this condition is 0.01%. 0.1%. That means you have a 99.9% chance of never having a problem with it. So we think, okay, so if I'm 45 years old or younger, I'm 99.9% not going to die from this thing. Yes, it's exactly what it means. So then I started thinking, I thought, well, let's look at our workforce. How much of our workforce is 45 and younger? Most of it. Then you look at the group it hits. It hits that nursing home group. It hits them hard. 65 and over. So we start going through the stats and all this thing. And what we're seeing in New York, they're saying that 94% of all the deaths that have occurred in that state, and it's the largest pandemic on record, and this one state has more than any other place on the planet. Every country, every other state, New York's got it all. So we look at that and we think to ourselves, okay, let's look at their numbers. Who has it all? Of their death, if you're 65 and older, you make up 94% of all the deaths from this condition. 94%. So I'm looking at that thinking, okay, so who should we be protecting? Who should we have focused on? Who should we have really put our effort to? And if you break those numbers down even further and get 75 and over, it goes up even higher for that group. So that 45 to 65 goes up a sliver. Then it goes way up after you get beyond 75. So if we look at this, just common sense, if you look at this and you think, okay, so we've got this small sliver of the population who ironically is congregated in these little housing areas for the most part, staying at home, instead of protecting them, instead of saying, look, let's get herd immunity. Once we understand it, and we do now, there's no more, well, we're not really sure what it does or how it works. We now know 100% this is what it does. All right, take care of the people that are most susceptible. Be very cautious with your nursing homes, as we see the fiasco coming out of New York, of all places. They're taking people that were sick and putting them back into the nursing homes. Now, it's not the governor's fault, right? It's a huge screw up on somebody's part. But I thought of this today when I heard this blip come through, and it caught my attention. And I heard him say, 45 and under, you're 99.9% safe. I thought, man, that's our whole economy. That's everybody working. So instead of throwing a young mother in Texas into jail for trying to feed her family and keep her salon open, maybe we could just take care of our elderly who we're supposed to be taking care of anyway. Couldn't we do that? And let it go. Help the body. Keep it strong. Let it run through. And instead, we don't do that. We go the other way. And I come down to this concept, and I was looking at this, and I thought, it can't be this simple. I see the stats coming across. We have 30 million Americans filing for unemployment. And it's not even really hit what I would call the white-collar jobs yet. And I watch people sometimes on here go, oh, you got to be careful, Doc. This is crazy. People just need to stay at home and this and that. But the people saying that are the ones who are working from home. They're the ones that are sitting there with the computer, and thank God you can do that. That's awesome. But the problem is, if you can't work from home, if you have to go somewhere to earn money, if you don't have that job security, you're one of those 30 million filing unemployment. And you look at that and you think, all right, I can get away with it for a week or two. Government's going to give me my check. It's going to help me out. Till you realize, all right, my house, my car, my food, my kids, that costs more than I'm getting. And all of a sudden, I can't take care of things. And when this is all said and done, guys, those bills aren't going away. They're going to be there. That's why they're telling you the recovery from this thing could be catastrophic. Because those aren't going away. You're still going to owe rent. You're still going to owe taxes. You're still going to owe all these things. They don't just magically disappear. I saw Illinois, of all the states, right? the top 5 states that have asked for federal funding, okay, I thought New York's got to be top. They've got more death. They have more disease. They scrambled more things. They needed more ventilators, more masks. They needed everything. They asked for medical people to come there for help. Clearly, they're going to need the most. They have a huge population. Nope, they're number 2. They needed $7.5, almost $7.8 billion in aid. But Illinois says we need 11. Woohoo! And we're going to lock our state down. Because right now, all this science that I'm talking about, that we're seeing statistically, Cuomo's getting all this praise for being the one governor that said, look, we're going to let science tell us what to do. Now, it doesn't mean we don't make wrong decisions along the way. Science changes. But the guy said, hey, I'm at least going to let it guide me. And he did. And so we look at this and we say to ourselves, the curve, it's flattening, right? We know that now. There's no doubt it's flattening. Your workforce appears to be pretty much safe with this thing. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to have the exception to the rule. And believe me, when you do, that's all we're going to see. It's all we're going to read about. The one person who was 29 that had a problem with this thing. Now, it's horrible. Don't get me wrong. You never want anyone to die. Never. But you also do not want to use someone's death in vain to do nothing but market an agenda. Because what you planned on happening wasn't working. You realize the science changed, but you already pulled the trigger over here to run down this path. And instead of saying, look, hey, shit changed. We're going to go a different direction. Like New York has multiple times in the last several months. Instead of owning up to it and just doing it, we say, well, we're going to keep on this path. We're going to keep shutting it down. Keep locking it down tighter. Oregon's locking it down to July. Illinois' new proposal will lock us down until next year. And maybe the year after. I saw one state say, hey, we're probably never going back to social groups. Never again are you going to see a ball game with your children. Never again are your kids going to cheer together at school. Never again are you going to watch any organizations or groups of any kind. Concerts, church gatherings, anything you can think of. Nope, not going to be safe. Not unless we're all sitting there in our rubber hazmat suits next to each other. Right? It's crazy. It doesn't have to be this way. And we're looking now at this thing saying, okay, our curve is flattening. Your workforce appears to be relatively safe. Then get their butts back into the workforce. Get them back in there. I saw news that came out about a meat packing plant. Because we're talking about, oh my God, there's going to be a meat shortage. It's not going to be from not having enough animals. That's not why. I treat a lot of people in my neighborhood, my area, that own large animal-based farms, whether it's hogs or cattle or chickens or sheep or anything like that. And they're saying, look, we had to put down 600 head the other day because we have nowhere to go with it. That's not a shortage. That's an overabundance and nowhere to give it anybody because they've scared these poor people to death saying, oh my God, you can't go to work, you're all going to die. What do you think the average worker is in a meatpacking plant? Think they're over the age of 45 or 50? Probably not. I'm guessing they're probably sitting right in that sweet spot where they're relatively safe. So you throw in a little social distancing, some common sense and hygiene, and oh my God, we don't have this problem. I'm not worried about going to the grocery store going, hey, oh, there's nothing here today. How am I going to feed everybody? And the first time we do this, when you walk in that store and it's gone, what goes through your mind? Oh, I'll go online. But now we're 3 months into this and we all know it's not online. It's not coming to you quick like it used to. And then you start getting nervous and you get anxious and you get fearful. And then all hell breaks loose. You don't have to let it do this. It's not necessary. We screwed up. It's that simple. Seniors make up the lion's share of this. Over 94, probably 95 or 6% when it's all said and done. Protect them. Take them, protect them. Let the rest of the herd get back into the workforce. Carefully, casually. Not this slow trickle down into the thing and hope, oh, hey, eventually we'll get enough to grow a plant. Never going to happen. Common sense. Open the faucet a little bit. Get the workforce started. It's going to take a while for people to get confidence back. They're scared. They're nervous. They don't know what the hell to believe. I could be totally full of it sitting here talking to you. Fortunately, you all know, Robin Hood Healthcare, I'm not. I'm here to help you. That's the idea. Don't do what Illinois has done. Don't do what Oregon's done, where you sit there and say, hey, let's tighten the screws even more. Don't be like some moron of a judge in Texas that wants to make a point and an example out of a young lady that's trying to feed her family. Because he's got his own little agenda to feed, or his own ego, or whatever it is that he's trying to do. More power to you. Great. Love it. Hope I'm never in your county, because you'll throw me in jail. And there's the irony of it. They're going to put her in jail, which is where, don't they tell us the prison system has this in it too? It makes up 1% of all the cases. So you're going to put her in a place where she could possibly get the thing you're trying to avoid that you didn't want her to spread while she was working. Good call there. Good call. It's that simple, guys. Lock down the vulnerable group if you have to. Protect them. I don't say lock down. Protect them. Common sense. Give the medical personnel what they need to take care of that group of people. Try to stay the hell off a ventilator if you can. The fatality rate, if you're over 65 on a ventilator, is 97% in the state of New York. 97% of the people that go on ventilators over 65 don't come off. Not alive, at least. So just know that. Everything's settling down. Yes, I've listened to Dr. Judy. I'm trying to put a call out to her right now to have her join me on my radio show. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. A buddy of mine knows her pretty well. So I'm going to reach out to her, right? Because I love what she had to say. Now, there's all kinds of conspiracy, this, that, and so on out there, and I'll come to that later on when I'm having a fun show. I just thought this was something you needed to hear, guys. It's something I needed to share with you. I went through, I heard this, and I thought, okay, you're telling me that literally 2/3 of everybody that has the darn thing got it at home, which means they didn't get it off of subway trains, they didn't get it off of touching dirty taxis or cabs or countertops at a restaurant. They got it the same way you pass a cold and a flu. Sneezing, coughing, exactly the same way those things go. That's how they got it. And ironically, if you do the math and you do the numbers on the 66% and you see what the governor of New York posted today during his live, you see what he put up there. 0.01. 0.01. Go on the CDC website, look up flu, and you will realize that its exact number is 0.01 for mortality in the United States this year. They're the same, as long as you're not 80 and over and living in a nursing home. It's that simple, right? That simple. It doesn't have to be that hard. I wanted to share this with you tonight. I appreciate all of you joining me from all over the world, I hope. Let me know where you're from. Thumb it, share it, get it out to everybody you possibly can. We can't let this thing go on much longer, because I do believe what the economic fallout from this is going to be could be catastrophic. It's time to put this thing to bed. Get our world back, get our life back. Be smart, be safe. I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. I am the Robin Hood of healthcare. Good night.